Reproductive rights are under attack. What do we do? Rise up, fight back! Who's for it? Our boy! 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 When reproductive rights are under attack, what do we do? Rise up, fight back! When reproductive rights are under attack, what do we do? Rise up, fight back! When reproductive rights are under attack, what do we do? Rise up, fight back!
This fight is your fight too.
Hey neighbor.
Hey neighbor.
Come on down.
Come on down.
This fight is your fight too.
This fight is your fight too.
Hey neighbor.
Hey neighbor.
Stand up and shout.
Stand up and shout.
This fight is your fight too.
This
Power to the people.
power to the people.
The people got the power.
The people got the power.
Tell me, can you feel it?
Tell me, can you feel it?
Rising by the hour.
Rising by the hour.
Power.
Power.
People.
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 Power.
Power.
Power to the people.
Power to the people.
The people got the power.
People got the power.
Tell me, can you feel it?
Tell me, can you feel it?
Rising by the hour.
Rising by the hour.
Power.
Power.
People.
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 Power.
Power.
Yeah.
Have the power.
Huh?
Women have the power.
How about we all have the power? Let's do it together. We all have the power. And
We all have the power.
keep going. We all have the power.
We all have the power.
Keep going.
We all have the power. We all have the power.
And I was one of the organizers for the event today, so thank you all for being here. So let me ask you to do some math. What do you take when you have 5 unelected officials appointed by 2 presidents who lost the popular vote, confirmed by senators who represent less than half the nation, to overturn a decision that is popular with about 70% of the nation? Because no matter how I figure that math, I cannot get that to add up to democracy. So I'm not going to take up too much of your time here. We have a lot of great people speaking tonight. Our very own Attorney General, Letitia James, will be here with us. I do just want to say this. What we have seen come out of the Supreme Court is not pro-life, it is pro-control. It is an effort to regulate, to take control, because Republicans in Congress would rather see people die than lose an ounce of their power. In the days following the leaked document, we have seen bills in Louisiana that will ban abortion without exception. That means that if you're having an ectopic pregnancy, you cannot have an abortion. An ectopic pregnancy is not viable. You will most likely die if that is not treated. We saw a state senator in Oklahoma ask why ectopic pregnancies had to be excluded. We have seen bills around this nation designed to enslave and designed to kill. That is the purpose here. When abortion is legal, abortion rates go down. When Planned Parenthood is funded, abortion rates go down. If you say that you are pro-life, then you are pro-choice. Now, let me just leave you with this. I just want to say something to my fellow men out here. So, a lot of times this conversation is framed as, well, you have to think of your daughters. You have to think of your mothers. You should not need a stake in the game to care about basic human rights. So the first person I'm going to introduce today is a friend of mine. I want to introduce Monica Martinez, former senator from Senate District 3 and future senator from Senate District 1.
Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. Can you hear me? All right. Thank you for being here with us today. And I want to thank our Attorney General, my former colleagues, friends, and future colleagues for being here, and all of you for being here with us today. Despite the rain and the wind, we are here gathered today, and nothing's going to stop us, right? All right. So I'm staying here with you today in solidarity that they're trying to take away from all of us. We all believe life is sacred, but guess what? A person's right over their body should never be subjected to either government control and/or political manipulation, which is what we are seeing today. In 2019, as a proud member of the New York State Senate, I voted for the Reproductive Health Act with a newly elected Democratic majority. This piece of legislation actually codified Roe v. Wade here in New York. And it will remain codified in New York because we see that our representatives, our real representatives in the New York State Senate and the Assembly are fighting to ensure that Roe v. Wade in New York remains codified for us individuals who are deciding what to do with their own bodies have the choice to do so. We will not criminalize individuals for having an abortion. Remember, we are witnessing political manipulation by certain individuals without providing facts and instead are providing lies and misinformation as they always do. We as New Yorkers, we will not allow this to happen. This issue is about personal liberty and personal choice. My body, my choice. Though I recognize that reproductive health is often a difficult and tough decision for families, I will continue to support the right of all individuals to have access to comprehensive information and safe medical care. And why is that? Because New Yorkers stand for equality. New Yorkers stand for inclusivity. New Yorkers, we stand and embrace diversity. We as New Yorkers stand for individual rights and we stand for choice. Everyone here, we are going to continue to fight for what is ours, and that is our bodies, our choice. Thank you.
My body, my choice. 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 We won't go back. 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 Listen. Reproductive rights and abortion is an essential and fundamental right, which is not laid out in our Constitution, but it's implicit in our Constitution. Right. And it's that same right that undergirds the right to marry, interracial marriage, contraception, the rights of the LGBTQ community. And it's that right that's under attack. It's also important to understand that we have got to stand together, all of us, and support pro-choice candidates up and down the ballot. Because if they come after women and members of the trans community, then they'll come after you next. That's right. And so we cannot go back. We cannot go back to the days when women could not travel and they went to clinics, illegal clinics, and they put matters in their life in the hands of someone who wasn't licensed, and a lot of them died. We cannot go back to the days when individuals who are poor have children because they have no choice. We can't go back to the days when women's rights are ignored, when we're treated like second-class citizens. We won't go back. We won't go back. Equal rights applies to all of us. And it was equal rights which undergirded the fact that we stood up against slavery in this nation. Yes. And we, women and trans, we will not be enslaved by unelected individuals who will dictate to us what we do with our bodies. And if you think, my friends, if you think that this is all about those who are moral and those who want to protect babies, right? If you think in Westchester yesterday, and this beautiful woman who had to be around 85 years old. She was Irish. She was Catholic. She came up to me and I thought you had some harsh words for me. Now she looked at me with those steely blue eyes, and all of a sudden the tears came. And she said, I remember those days. And she hugged me. And she said, you can't go back, Tish. I stand with you and I stand with you always. She remembers those days. She remembers those days. And I stand before you as a woman of faith. Someone who tries to go to church every Sunday. But the reality is that my faith teaches me to love. My faith teaches me that this is my body and my choice. Right. And this is the decision between me and my God and no one else.
That's right.
No one else. And so we're lucky to be in New York. We are lucky to be in New York where it's enshrined in the law, but it should be enshrined in our Constitution. But the reality is that when any one individual, as Dr. Martin Luther King said, when one individual doesn't have the rights of everyone else, then all of us are unfree.
That's right.
And so we must all stand together. And we must establish a fund in the state of New York so that individuals can come to New York. All of us must be aunties. Because there are families and women and members of the trans community in Texas and Mississippi and in red states that are trapped and that will be trapped. And we've got to bring them to New York and protect them.
It's going to be a problem.
And the reality is that it's going to have a disproportionate effect on low-income women and members of the trans community and women of color. And that's why we've got to stand together. This is our fight. This is our fight together. And we've got to stand together. And we've got to put aside all of our differences, all of the artificial constructs that seek to divide us. We cannot be divided on this. This is an essential right, a fundamental right that will not be stripped away from us, we will not again be ignored. And so I urge all of you, we've got to come out and vote. This is a critical issue. We've got to tell people who we disagree with. We've got to talk to our neighbors and people who we haven't spoke to before and let them know if they come after us, they're coming after you next.
That's right.
And so we've got to vote. We've got to vote. We've got to vote. We've got to vote. I am with you in this fight. As your Attorney General, I will do everything in my power to respect your right, to respect your privacy, stand up for the 14th. We are the majority in this nation.
That's right.
Let's say it again, and we've got to act like it. We are the majority. And if we flex our muscles, if we expand our muscles, if we allow our voice to be heard all across this nation, there's no turning back. Let's flex our muscles, ladies and members of the trans community, and let's stand up together because it's my body, my choice. My body, my choice. My body, my choice. No going back.
Thank you. Thank you all for coming out. How about that Skylar Johnson? And how about our great Attorney General? You know, this weather reminds me they're not going to make it easy for us. But does that mean we're turning back?
No.
Does that mean we're going to go back?
No.
No. Nearly 50 years ago, our mothers and our grandmothers who had fought to recognize fundamental human rights.
Right here.
Amen. And our mothers, and my mother, may she rest in peace, my Irish mother and my Irish grandmother, they fought to make sure that a fundamental human right was recognized by the United States, and they achieved Roe v. Wade. Are we going back?
No.
We won't go back.
We won't go back.
Say it again, we won't go back.
We won't go back.
You know, if Dobbs issues, there are 26 states across this nation that are poised to immediately put in place bans on legal abortions.
That's about to happen if we don't act. As a former sex crimes prosecutor, I am horrified when we hear from our great Attorney General about the no votes that are cast every time Democrats turn to their colleagues across the aisle and ask for support for children, for women, for folks who are on the margins. We hear no, we hear no, we hear no. It doesn't matter what circumstances a woman is in when she has to make a terrible decision about whether or not to access the medical care that is abortion. What matters is that she has a right, which is enshrined in our Constitution, to make that decision with her own conscience, with her family, with her spiritual guide, and with her medical providers. We must do everything we can to protect every woman's right to make that decision. I will work to codify Roe, to enshrine Roe in federal law. Because no judge, no politician, no ban should block personal medical decisions that set the course of a woman's life. Abortion access must not be based on your zip code or your race or your job circumstances or, say it again? Or your bank account. Thank you. We work so well together, we finish each other's sentences. Are we in this together? Woo! Let me tell you, the phrase right to life is a lie. Yes. Those folks don't care if women die. Yes. Are we going back? No. Are we going back? No. We won't go back. We won't go back. We won't go back. We won't go back. Thank you all. Let's keep fighting the good fight. Thank you, Skylar.
Thank you all for being here on such a beautiful day. All people, regardless of where we live or what we look like or who we love, deserve to make the best healthcare decisions for ourselves and for our families. Abortion is healthcare, period. The decision of when and if to become a parent is one of the most important ones many of us will make in our lifetimes. I've made the decision to not be a mom. Chances are I'll never need an abortion. So I want to talk about the slippery slope of this pending decision. In the draft overturn Roe, Alito himself enumerated other modern rights, also not listed in the Constitution, that involve personal freedoms inferred from the 14th Amendment. Those rights he specifically listed, which are under attack next, are including criminalizing or blocking access to contraception, same-sex marriage and relationships, and interracial marriage. There's a sitting United States Senator, Senator Braun from Indiana, who was recently interviewed and said that he thinks interracial marriage decisions should be left up to the states and not the federal government. This is 2022 and this is ridiculous. I want to get personal. I live with endometriosis. I nearly died in 2019 after I had a large ovarian cyst and surgery, and it caused sepsis. I was on a ventilator for 5 days in the ICU, induced in a medical coma, with my hands tied down to the bed so I couldn't remove the ventilator. After a total of 12 days in the hospital, my gynecologist told me I need to permanently be on birth control for the rest of my reproductive years to prevent me from having a period. I cannot have a period because if I do, I will grow ovarian cysts and require surgeries. This is something that is now on the table because of the decisions of the elite men in DC and a couple of women they're making these decisions about our health care, and this is very personal. Endometriosis is a very painful disease to live with, and because of this little pill that I take every day, I'm able to be a functioning member of society. I'm able to work. I'm not on disability. Contraception is health care. Abortion
the future, not them. We can ensure that all of us, no matter who we are, where we come from, who we love, can decide if and when and how to grow our families. Elections matter. Yes. Woo! School board elections are on May 17th. Say this with me. May 17th. May 17th. May 17th. Okay, so school board elections are important because they're building benches of future politicians. And the alt-right is out there and they are trying to take over our school boards, and they will continue up the ladder to all levels of government. There are going to be primaries in New York coming up in June and August, and then of course November 8th. So get registered today, get involved. Amanda you can use a QR code right here and sign up to get involved. Get involved in a campaign. Even an hour a month is helpful. So don't just complain about this shit on Facebook. Don't just be here today and go home and feel like you did enough. We need to vote and we need to volunteer to help elect some of the candidates that are here today because elections matter.
I can't hear you. Are you ready? Are you ready to fight? Yeah. Are you ready to fight? Yeah. Are you ready to fight? Yeah. Let's go. Listen, this is serious. We are sitting here on the precipice of danger. Yes. We are not only here for one set of people. We're here for everyone. We're here because all of us matter. Yes. Do we all matter? Yes. Do we all matter? Yes. That's why we're here. But for too long, they thought we were sleeping. Are you awake? Yes. Are you awake? Yes. Are you awake? Yes. That's what they want to hear. Because they think that they can do this in the dark of the night without you being involved. Is that true? No. Is that true? No. Are you awake? Yes. Are you awake? Yes. Are you ready to fight? Yes. Are you ready to fight? Yes. So let's go. No matter what happens tomorrow morning, no matter what happens tomorrow afternoon, you can never give up this fight. You can never, ever give up this fight.
We won't go back.
Why? We will not go back. We will not go back.
We will not go back.
We will not go back.
We will not go back.
Because if we do, if one of us goes back, all of us goes back.
Right.
If one of us goes back, all of us go back. When you leave here today, you need to get on your phone. You need to call 5 people. You need to call 10 people.
Yes.
I don't care where they live. You need to tell them that they need to get activated. Are you ready to fight?
Yes.
Are you going to dial?
Yes.
Are you going to call?
Yes.
Are you going to let them know you're not going back?
Yes.
Then let's go.
All right, can you hear me?
Yes.
Woo! I don't know about you, but I'm mad. Are you mad?
Yes.
I don't know about you, but I'm angry. Are you angry?
Yes.
I'm furious. Yes. This is a direct assault on our privacy, on our freedom, on self-determination. And I'll tell you what, I have self-determination. You have self-determination. And I am determined to fight this. Determined to fight for the reproductive rights of American women. Determined to fight for the rights of our daughters, of our granddaughters and sisters. I'm determined to fight for the rights of our mothers, our nieces, our cousins, our co-workers, our best friends. Because lives are at stake. We can't go back. We won't go back.
We won't go back.
We can't go back to how dangerous it was for women facing the need for an abortion before Roe. Listen, my friend Kate is still traumatized 50 years later by her pre-Roe 1970
agonizing days, afraid for her life. Kate, a poor teenager, should have had a choice for a safe medical procedure. 20 years later, after decades of activism from the generation before me, thank you, thank you, thank you. Listen, thank you to every one of you who were there 50 years ago. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Listen, 30 years ago now, 20 years after Roe, I faced an unplanned pregnancy of my own. Scared and alone as a college student, I was able to make the decision that was right for me. I chose to have my oldest daughter. It was my choice.
That's right.
My choice. My body, my choice. In that moment, I would not wanted anyone to tell me what to do. And living through that and understanding Kate's story, that is the essence of choice. Overturning Roe v. Wade won't stop abortions, but only make them more dangerous. Wealth and geography can't be the difference between life and death. We won't go back. We won't go back. We can't go back. We can't go back. My body, my choice. We need to take back the power. Fight for it in the streets. Fight for it at the ballot box. Fight for it in every single state house and every single House and Senate race. We must defeat the far-right anti-choice candidates. If you are scared or sad, you are not alone. We are with you. We are together in this, and we won't go back. We won't go back. We won't go back. We won't go back. Thank you.
Thank you, Skylar. What happens next is up to us. What happens next is up to the people. We're standing here today, but we're not alone. I work in Suffolk County. I live in Nassau County, but I live in New York State. I live in the United States. We live together. We are the people. The United States Supreme Court is responsible ultimately to the country, to the laws, to the Constitution. It looks like they have failed us, but we have to stand up. Everywhere throughout this country today, there are rallies in the rain throughout the country, throughout the region. We just came from Nassau County. There's one in Queens. There's many in the city. In Washington, D.C., throughout the entire land, people are coming together to be heard, to tell the government, to tell the courts, to tell the legislators, to tell the people that we will not go back. We will not give up. We have to protect our rights. We have to protect women's rights. We have to protect human rights. We understand the stakes. We cannot go back 50 years. Roe v. Wade protected a right to privacy. That right exists within the Constitution. We are a land, a nation of laws, and it's up to us to stand up. We decide what happens next. So I am honored to be here today to speak with my colleagues throughout Suffolk County, throughout this region. Together, we will win this fight. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for being here. We will not go back.
Whose body? My body. Whose choice? My choice. Whose body? My body. Whose choice? My choice. Now, so as not to be redundant, I won't reiterate everything that all the speakers have said because it's kind of along the same message. My military service always informs what I say. And whenever we plan a mission, we always have more than one courses of action. And so we have to plan for the future. Women don't get pregnant. At least the last time I checked. I have 2 children. Women don't get pregnant. Women don't get pregnant. And somehow, the men sitting around the table responsibility. So as our AG said, we need to take the power that we have. Women are the biggest voting majority, and we have the power, so we need to show up at every level, starting with school board elections. Right now, at this rally, we have a female attorney general. We have 3 congressional candidates. At the rally I came from in Nassau County, we had several female state senators. We need to be at the tables where these decisions are being made. So please heed the advice of my former student, Jason Richburg, and call those 10 friends. Call those 10 friends and make sure they show up to vote. Because we have the power to make sure that the proper decisions are being made for us. And we can do it. Whose body? Whose choice? When will we do it? When will we do it? We can't wait. It's coming. It's here. It's happening now, and it will continue. And as this fight continues, we have to be ready. To be forewarned is to be forearmed. Have we been warned? Have we been warned? Will we be armed? Will we be armed? With what? With what? With what? With what? Thank you.
Hello, everybody. I'm so happy to see all of us out here. Rain or shine, it doesn't matter. You know why? Because I think all of us are so sick of the minority ruling us. I'm so sick of it. You know what? Abortion bans fall hardest on low-income people, on people of color, on survivors of rape and incest, and on those working 2 jobs for less than enough to support the kids they already have. The GOP has turned its back on them. The rest of us cannot. The fact of the matter is that the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court opened an investigation to a leaked brief within 24 hours, but has yet to open an investigation into a sitting justice's wife openly plotting a coup. Openly plotting a coup to overthrow the U.S. government. All right? This is an emergency, everybody. This is an emergency, and that's why we're all here. Clarence Thomas, a sitting Supreme Court justice, called peaceful protests bullying and tells us to live with it, live with the outcome. Do you realize what he's saying? He's confirmed that the Supreme Court has been compromised and there is nothing we can do about it. Those are fighting words. Perhaps they should listen to the majority of the American people the way they're supposed to, especially since, as we just heard, 3 of them perjured themselves in their confirmation hearings. So no, we're not just gonna live with it. And gosh, Clarence, I'm so sorry you feel bullied. I wish you could understand what we all felt, what we're all feeling right now. We are coming for you. We are going to abolish the filibuster. We are going to glorify Roe. We are not stopping there. We are going to abolish the Electoral College, and we are coming, and we are not going to turn back ever. This is it. Thank you all so much. Thank you.
In 2018. Let's not forget that Trump rolled back the rights of trans people to serve our country's military. Let's not forget that nationwide, Republicans have filed nearly 200 state bills this year that strip protections for transgender minors or restrict discussion of LGBTQ topics in public schools. Let's not forget that in states across the country, parents of trans minors are being threatened with investigations and and both cisgender parents and trans people alike are being labeled as groomers and pedophiles. Which brings me to my point. We must take today's energy and anger and put it into action that will be effective and make a difference. We must take today's angry energy and work like hell to make sure there is no Republican wave in the upcoming midterm elections. We must do everything we can to ensure candidates that share our beliefs are elected or re-elected this coming November. We must get our family, friends, neighbors registered to vote. In order to be eligible to vote in November, voter registration applications must be postmarked no later than October 14th. We must support candidates with our dollars. I know things are tight, but please make campaign contributions. We must volunteer to help candidates by phone banking and canvassing our neighborhoods by going door to door, talking to voters, and persuading those who are undecided. We must support candidates that protect our rights, fight for democracy, and move our state and country forward, not backward. Repeat after me. For our rights to save, no Republican wave. 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 Thank you.
All right, everyone, it's cold, it's wet, it's rainy. Somehow the GOP has even figured out a way to piss off Mother Nature, right? My name is Melanie DeRigo. I'm a healthcare advocate. I'm a community organizer. I'm a mother of 3, and I'm a congressional candidate in New York's 3rd District. For nearly 50 years, the anti-abortion, pro-forced birth movement has been chomping at the bit to overturn Roe. And with the leaked draft memo this week, it looks as if they're close to getting their wish. So I came out here to stand in solidarity with all of you in the freezing cold rain because I'm really mad. Are you mad? Yeah. Are you mad? Yeah. Are you mad? Yeah. I'm mad that women and non-binary people and trans men will be less safe in our country. We know that black and brown women, young women, poor women, indigenous women will be less safe. I'm mad that the government thinks it's their place to force us to have birth, saddle us with thousands of dollars in medical debt, strip away health care and food programs for hungry children. I'm mad that the GOP and complacent conservative Democrats have traded our rights for political expediency. Because if we're really honest with ourselves, let's be really honest here, the Democrats have had their opportunities over the years to codify Roe, and they didn't. That ain't right. That ain't right. That ain't right. That ain't right. Now, I know days like this and times like this are really hard, so it's really important for us to all come together. I just want to share a quick story that led me here, that led me into activism. I think it's important to remember what we're fighting for. In 2018, in October, I went down to D.C. to protest the appointment of Brett Kavanaugh. I brought my entire family with me. And as I stood at the steps of the Supreme Court, holding my little girl's hands in mine, I had a moment, just for a moment, that maybe this was the beginning of the end. I asked myself, how could we let this happen? How did we get here? As I tried to understand the weight of that moment and how it would shape my daughter's lives. And then I looked up, and I looked around, and I saw thousands and thousands of women and allies supporting each other, lifting each other up, holding each other. And we're bringing that same strength here today. You see, my friends, activism is like a muscle. The more we use our advocacy skills, the bigger the effect. The bigger the effect.
County legislator, and I'm the Democratic candidate for Congressional District 2. And to make it very clear in terms of this battle that we all are working on, when we go out and we do outreach to people, make it very clear to everyone that everyone has a stake in this issue. Men, women, everybody. It's not, and it's not just women, because I remember I've run for office a number of times, and as I said, I did Suffolk County legislator. The first check that I got in my first campaign was from my mother, and my mother had worked at Grumman during World War II, in the plants over in Grumman, and she saw what happened to women in the 1940s and the 1950s. And she said, promise me that every, vote you have that affects health issues, reproductive issues, the right to a free and safe abortion is upheld. And I've been consistent with that. I have worked with Planned Parenthood. I have worked with a number of groups that not only want to expand the health care rights of all Americans, but to make it very clear to all Americans that everyone has a stake in this issue. So when people say, well, I'm sort of on the fence, there's no being on the fence.
Right.
There's no saying, okay, well, this is somebody's other issue. I mean, the thought that somehow the conservatives, they call themselves conservatives, but we all know at this point that instead of being progressive, they're not only regressive, but they're actually repressive. And make it very clear that we're not going to stand for repressive actions on issues affecting human and healthcare needs.
Yeah, Bill.
Because we care about our community. I'm Serena Martin-Lagori, the Executive Director of New Hour for Women and Children. And I want to thank each person here, each man, woman, child who showed up, because Benjamin Franklin said, justice is only served when those unaffected are as enraged as those affected. What I do every day is work in the jails across Long Island. We may see more women behind bars if Roe versus Wade is not codified. This is life and death. And I'm standing here in solidarity to say today that we have to stand up and shout. We have to be heard, because we know what happened in the last election. We know where Long Island is going to go if we don't stand up and make noise. Right. What we know today is that our bodies are our choice, and that Long Islanders stand. And by the way, black and brown Long Islanders, Latinx people like myself, people who have survived enslavement, will now be punished even more. Because this, if it does not get codified, is going to impact our poor people, people living below the poverty line. We know the cost of living on Long Island, and we know the impact that this is going to make. We must make sure that this does not come to pass. I stand with all of you in solidarity. I thank you all for being here today. I want to shout out Skylar for putting this together. And let's keep on keeping on, because it's our body, our choice. Our body, our choice. Our body, our choice. Woo!
Hello everyone, I just wanted to say thank you for watching the video, and I wanted to talk about this a little bit, though in some of my perspective, before concluding the video. Well, we've reached a rather difficult time right now. As all of you have heard, the Supreme Court is more than likely going to overturn Roe versus Wade, which is a pretty serious issue. It's something we've been dealing with a long time, and there doesn't really seem to be a solution to it. Which I find myself asking a specific question, like, in short, how do you solve the problem? Overturning it's not going to do that. That's only going to make it worse. I wish there was a solution I could say that would make abortion stop completely, like a woman from here on would never have an abortion again, but unfortunately that's not going to be the case, at least not my generation. So, we used to have a saying called, in project management, prevention over inspection. And I'm no expert here, but the whole idea is not to inspect for problems, but to set out rules or parameters to prevent problems from happening. That was always like the best way to solve a problem, by just avoiding it altogether. So, in the case of abortion, what could we do to help prevent abortions from happening? And, well, for starters, we could make it so that there is birth control that is more readily available, that is very easy to get. Not just for women, but for men as well, for any couples that, need birth control to avoid an unwanted pregnancy, so that women won't find themselves in that position. Other ways of doing it, more importantly, is education. Mostly with the younger generations, which I would encourage, if they're not doing so already, for parents, talk to your children, not just your daughters, but your sons, and educate them, let them know what it means, the importance of being responsible, in a relationship. People are going to have sex, whether, you want them to or not, or they're not going to grow up to be nuns, so you want to prepare them with the facts, precautions that they could take to, again, avoid an unwanted pregnancy. Because it's not just about, preventing abortions. It's about, women's health care, their well-being. In case people are wondering, and this is where it gets a little complicated, and I'll try and explain it as best as I can, where do I stand on all this? They say, oh, I'm here at the road at this particular protest, so I must be, pro-choice. I don't care. I want to see abortions happen. No, I am pro-choice, but I am also pro-life. And some people say that may be a hard thing to grasp. It's actually not. It is possible. And my stance is simple, is I don't want to see abortions happen at all. I wish they would never happen. But like I said before, that's not always the case. On the flip side, as a man, I can't tell a woman what she can and can't do with her body. I don't think any man should be able to do that. We see a lot of these lawmakers are male. They've never been in that position where they've gotten pregnant, where they've had to contend with an unwanted pregnancy, And I know some people are saying, well, just put it up for adoption or keep the child, That's easier said and done, If you overturn Roe v. Wade, what happens if people get pregnant or, say, poor families, single mothers, families that are struggling, that have kids already, and then now they have to add another child, which will make it more difficult, which will also impact that child and their children as well, as far as growing up, They'll be poor and struggling, to feed them, to care for them, to educate them. So, and I don't want to I'm trying not to mention names here, because I'm not trying to make it sound like a political discussion, because to me, it's more than just politics, because overturning Roe v. Wade is something that a majority of the country is against. That is in red and blue states alike. I don't know what the exact polls or statistics are, but, the bottom line is a good majority of the country is opposed to this, and with good reason. So, and I get pro-lifers too. I really do. So that's where I say I try and find a middle ground. Like, how do you solve this problem? For starters, don't come to me with the religious angle, please. You know, I mean, I'm all for religion. You know, I'm Catholic, and like I said, you know, I don't want to see abortions happen, but at the same time, I'm also realistic. And as good as the Bible is, it's a good book. It's even a great book. But it's not perfect. It's not the only book. And there's a lot of information there that is, you know, severely outdated. So, you know, it goes beyond religion. You know, some of these, some evangelicals out there who are, to me, are nothing more than grifters. They'll use the Bible as a tool, but it's just to serve an agenda. And, you know, to them, they'll be happy that, oh, Roe versus Wade is going to be overturned. But that is going to hurt a lot of people, up to and especially including their followers. You know. So I'm not saying having religious reasons is a bad thing, but again, to me, it goes beyond that, you know. And what I'm seeing amongst the politics in all this is that, you know, politicians, a lot of them are considerably wealthy. So, you know, if RV Wade gets overturned, they find themselves in a situation where themselves or a close friend or a family member, you know, becomes unexpectedly pregnant, unplanned. Well, they have the money and the means to go around that, you know, to get the abortion, assuming and depending where they are, you know, depending on what the laws change in their state, you know, and if they have to go to another state, that's not a problem. And let's be honest, they'll do it and they'll sweep it under the rug. Try and keep it as discreet as possible, and if ever confronted about it, they would deny it. So, you know, and I hear some say, like, well, just move to another state. Well, that's where poor people and low-income families are most impacted, you know. It's not so easy to just get up and go to a state where abortion would be legal, you know. Even to just go to the state and come back, you know, that creates quite a challenge. So they're either forced to get an abortion through other means, through legal means, or means that are clearly not safe, and that's where the health risks come in. So we have a former president who has committed adultery on multiple wives, and I don't think he really cares about the people, you know. One minute he was for it, now he's against it, and to me that was more just done out of political convenience, you know. Not because he believes it in his heart, not because he cares, you know. You know, has he ever had to contend with abortion? I don't know. But being how he has a habit of committing adultery, I wouldn't be surprised. And I could easily see him, you know, going out and getting an abortion, and the Supreme Court doesn't seem to care, at least these justices that have recently, you know, made that decision to overturn it. What would I say to some of them? And here I do have to mention some names. They're pretty commonly known already. Is like, to say, Justice Kavanaugh, you know, who is been accused of sexual assault, who likes to drink beer. I would sincerely ask him, what would you do if you had a daughter that became pregnant and wanted to get an abortion? If your wife became pregnant and it was a high-risk pregnancy that the doctors clearly said, if you don't abort this child, you could potentially die. If you try and carry this child to full term, you may not survive the pregnancy. And in addition, the unborn child would die as well. What would he say? You know, I mean, Amy Coney Barrett, what if she was raped, God forbid? And I'm not saying I'm wishing that on anyone. I'm really not. You know, what if her or a family member got raped and then wanted to get an abortion? What would she do? To tell a rape victim that they have to carry that child full term is just unimaginable. And they went through a horrific experience and got pregnant in a way that no woman should ever get impregnated. And now they're being told, as much as they'd want to terminate that child, as difficult as that would be, they can't do that. They have to carry that child full term. And then they'll just be like, well, again, just put it up for adoption. Easier said than done. I don't think these justices really gave it that much thought. I think they walked into this with an agenda. I could be wrong, but the simple fact is they lied. You know, they pretty much told the people what they wanted us wanted them to hear, and they just kind of rolled with it. Obviously, they didn't say they were going to overturn Roe v. Wade. They never said they wouldn't, so they'll just use some fancy legal terminology and I think, what is it? Plausible deniability. You know, they were for it, but now they're against it. Plausible deniability. They lied. And, you know, that's not good either because it sets a false precedent. It also makes us not have faith in the Supreme Court, and we should have faith in it. It's not just about women's rights as well. It's not just about healthcare. It's about the rights of other people, of LGBTQs and, you know, trans community, which some people have brought that up. And one of the justices, I forget which one, said, no, they're not going to do that. Well, you lied about something pretty serious. So to say you're not going to do that, well, that's hard to believe when your word is less than zero, when your credibility is gone. And of course, they're there for life. Something tells me if Ruth Gator Ginsburg was alive today, I don't think she'd be too approving of all this. No. We know where she stood. So the simple fact is, if you overturn Roe v. Wade, a lot of people are going to get hurt. A lot of people are going to get killed, you know, as a result of it. Not just, you know, the women who get pregnant, but their unborn children too. It is not going to save lives as much as we'd like to think it would, but it's not. You know. Are there programs to help poor families who, you know, get pregnant and decide, you know, they can get help somehow? They can get some kind of financial support for this new child? There may be, not that I'm aware of. And if I'm wrong, by all means, let me know in the comment section. But I don't think it is. And I don't think these politicians care. It's like, well, they don't get an abortion and they carry the child to full term. Well, what happens to the child then? I don't really think these people care. It's not just these Supreme Court justices. I think it's a lot of these politicians alike. And there's plenty of blame to go around. It's not just on, you know, it's been going on recently. This has been going on for years. So how do you solve the problem? Well, I think some of the ideas I have could work. You know, preventative measures. But the one thing we can do here and now is just get out and vote. Get out and protest. Peaceful protests, I mean. You know, nothing violent. Make your voices heard. Reach out to some of your congressmen, to your local representatives. Let them know how outraged you are by all this. And get out and vote. It may not be much, as some people may think, but it's better than doing nothing. And eventually the change comes down to you. Because people will get hurt when this goes through. A lot of people will suffer as a result of it. And it needs to change. And that change eventually falls on us. It's not just about us, it's about, you know, the health and safety of women, our mothers, our wives, our daughters, our sisters, our aunts, our close friends, our families. It's not just about what the Supreme Court says. It is about the American people and preserving their lives and doing what we can to prevent abortions without putting lives at risk. In the end, get out and vote because it is all about you. It is up to you.